Hi there. A few of us have downloaded this game, so I thought I'd make it a little easier for a few other people. So we sort of struggled with this for a while. So basically you're going to go to, oh, this is on the PS4 by the way. As you can see up there, PS4 edition. You're going to click on New Game, New Map. You're going to go through by looking at your natural resources on the right, figure out what kind of area you want to go to. I usually try to find something with some good oil or farm, whatever, doesn't really matter. So you can go through there. Once you see something you like, you can go down, move down using your D-pad. You can change the name if you want to by hitting X and whatever. But I'm just going to move on. And then from here you hit start. But usually turn off this day-night cycle, make sure that's not highlighted, so that you're just working during the day, you can get everything done. Otherwise it turns dark and you can't see stuff. So normally you just hit start and it would start. But I've already made one. There we go, load game. I just called it Tutorialville. Again, not highlighted. Go to load. Just so it's got a few of the roads and stuff done, otherwise it takes way too long and you can't really do it in 15 minutes. I tried a few times. But anyway, this will give you a way to get started. And from here you can at least, make more sense of it. I didn't even know how to get the pipes figured out, roads, nothing. Alright, so when you first start off, this is what you see is basically just those two lanes coming in, and you've got to basically put a few roads on. So to figure out where to put your roads, which I didn't know, hold down your triangle, brings up that little map, use your left thumb pad, go down to info views. Right, then hit your D-pad over to natural resources. Once you look at this, then you can see you've got some really good fertile land onto the right and lower. You've got some forestry up in here. So there's a good farmland right in there. And you've got some dead areas where it's just white, there's nothing in there. So those are good spots for town. Or, once the forestry and that is done, and it's all ravaged, then you can build your town on top of that stuff. Right, so that's how I can figure out where to put the roads. Then you basically go to your road, click on road, I zoom in. I'll put this just using the basic first road that's the only one you get, and I'll come down between the two and just put this first lane in. Leave a little bit of space. Oh, then I'll join that to there, and then from there to there. So of course you can go both ways when you come in. Now, if you notice on here, when you click on an area, I'll just go down to here. See, it's got the small circle, which is where your road's going to be. The big circle is where it's going to be zoned. So, on the main road, when you first come in, you want to leave that wider because you're going to twin that later on. As your city gets bigger, you want people to get off that highway and get in there. Right, so that's going to help out with that. After that, I like to just go from 90 degrees off of that. So say if you wanted to make sure that that's nice and square, click on that where it ended, and see it says 90 degrees up on there. So it just keeps it nice and tight. If you try to cross a road without attaching it, it will just say red, you can't do it. All you do is just go back to the road, hit X, and then you can carry on. Alright, one thing you want to do at the end of each road is you typically want to leave a little tiny tail piece. Because I've noticed that when you build your roads and you want to connect them later on, if you don't have that, it will kick the guys out of there. It'll knock down houses and stuff, which people don't appreciate for some reason. Crazy. Alright, so that'll be your roads. Once you've done that, you've got a little bit of a grid, you can start figuring out your water system. So you'll see here that the river flows this direction right here. Okay? So you go to your utilities, water, and your water intake. So water pumping station. So you bring that into where the water is, it'll turn green, hit the X to put it down. So I've already put one on there. Okay, so you're going to connect that. Now I've also put some lines because I like things sort of nice and neat and clean. I use the grid lines from the road and from the zoning. This will be all underground so it doesn't affect anything. You can just do that. So if you move this over right beside here, so that little green line shows up, tells it you're in line with it that way. Click on it once, and then you can run right down. Let's see. Drop it down there. Alright, so then you have to connect the pumping station with any of the lines. You can go with the one that's closest, you can go weird angles, does not matter. Alright, so the pumping station will need power and it will need a connection. Now you can see here I've already thrown a windmill up just to save us some time. But here I'm also going to go here. This is where the zoned area is going to be for residential. Drop a line down there. And then, so you can connect these ones here if you want. There, so that's all connected as a grid. I see one area is out. You can also do little weird runs by going like this. And all I'm doing is hitting X as I go along. There. That's why I threw that weird looking road in there, just to show you that. And you see some areas that aren't touched, they can run you into trouble if people are screaming for water. Okay, so you've got water coming in, but you need water going out as well. So for that, you gotta put a outlet. So you go to the end of where the river leaves your property vertically, drop that in. Then you're gonna see that you need a connection. It's also gonna say that it needs power. But we'll put the connection on first. Oh, and just take over to the closest point. Done. Okay. Now it should come up and say that it needs power as well. There we go. So that's showing that it needs power. Now if you want to on that, you can hit L3, and if you look at the bottom left hand side where that blue bar is scrolling, it'll pause it and turn red. So that way people aren't screaming that, hey, we need power, this kind of thing, blah, 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 blah. Right. Now what you can do, what I usually do, is go over to your power. And the first thing I did was stuck a windmill up. So you can see the footprint of that windmill. When I drop this down, it's going to have that same kind of a footprint. So you don't have to have them right side by side, but I typically like to try and keep them close until you get enough of them that you get enough power going through. Alright, so that's what it is. I dropped it there because it shows 8 milliwatts on the bottom, which is pretty decent. Up here it'll show like 4 or 5. The lighter the area is, the less power it gets. Alright, so once that's done, you can highlight the tower. Now for the tower, all you have to do is put it inside that zone. You don't have to be right beside the tower, just inside that little highlighted footprint. Go over to the footprint of the pumping station, or the pump out. Drop that in, and you can see there, the power line will pretty soon it'll start to light up. And then the power will disappear. Or sorry, the power symbol will disappear. In the meantime, if you want, go over to the little inspector, you can highlight that area, click on X, and then hit your R3, and it'll tell you there are occasional power shortages. Make sure your power plants have enough for the whole day. That's because it's not getting power at all. Oh, I hit pause. Okay. Turn off pause, and it'll go away. I'll just zoom into electricity just so you can see it. See it's starting to light up, and then the little power symbol's gone. Alright. So now, and usually I turn on zoning before that, I kind of forgot. But yeah, basically just go here, you're just going to zone this, so you're going to go green for people, residential, dun, dun, dun. And both sides. And now what you do when you're planning this, you want to try and have your stuff so it touches, because as buildings get built, they'll move out in the order that kind of like makes sense to them, and so it costs you less as building. So you can go industrial this way, and what they'll do is they'll actually start building, and then the footprint for the power will move along, so the grid will move along. It saves you having to put, you know, power lines and stuff out. Alright, so they should start building here real quick like. As you can see, they're starting to move in. If you back out, go to your utilities, hit that, hit your power line, or the other one, whatever. It'll show you that that's the footprint of the power. So you could wait to see how far it comes closest, if it comes close enough to it, but I'm just going to go over, and all you have to do is go into that power zone, to the footprint, drop it down, and those guys will have power. Now you'll see that there's going to be some areas over here, and they're also going to need power once they start building some houses, gas stations, that kind of stuff, and factories over here. Two options. You can either go to a windmill once they come up and drop that down, but that's just going to cost you more money. Or you can wait till they start building, which hopefully they should right shortly, and you can just run a power line from here we're just going to get ready because I'm pretty sure it's going to show up here. Start building. Surprised they're usually building already here by now. But normally one of the first things I do is actually put the zone this for residential, and they start building. So I guess you have to have people before they actually start building factories. So if you look at the chart up at the top, it tells you how much power you have. So if you have to put another windmill down or whatever else, just keep an eye on that. But they'll start screaming at, if they need power, just hit your L3 to pause it, and then you can, add things to it all the time. No big deal. But that's the basics of it. Yeah, so if you back out of this, just keep moving, highlighting all the things. Throw a medical center in as soon as you can. It's like 10 grand, but it helps out for the farming district. So yeah, remember to keep this here for all the garbage areas for the generic farming or generic industry. And then when you can, zone this here into farming. As soon as it says districts is available, then do it that way. And if you I'll try and do one on that later on as well. I'm just trying to figure out why these guys haven't started building this. Usually they do. Yeah, weird. Oh, there they're finally going. So you can see the square just sort of changes color for the first little bit. And then they'll start building. There comes some industrial. Alright, so now if we go to the power, hopefully not too late. It's getting pretty close. I can see the footprint is building, growing out. So I'm just going to go here. That's on a street, that's why I couldn't. I'm just going to go there just so that when they're ready that needs power. That's all you have to do is just go into the footprint. So it's either that, or if there's, see if they start building over here somewhere, and it's too far away, and it's too far away for it to touch the blue, then you just drop down a windmill. That works too. If it's connected, like say if this here is say connected to this, it will supply power through the whole grid. It's not just the one area, it's the whole grid. Later on you want to try and get a dam across here because those are really good. I've had one that was like 90 or 100 so kilowatts, or megawatts, sorry. And then there's the turbines that are right next to this that aren't available yet. Those are really good too. Those are 20 megawatts. Coal is typically the one that you can go with right off the bat though because it's fairly cheap compared to the rest of them. So if you're stuck, go with the coal. And you don't need to be in the water. These